Um, so, welcome to part two of my answer session. Let's just start. Do you believe that racial equality is a media tool? Do you, like many others, believe that the outcome that whites traveling the world industrial while blacks were living in tents happened by chance? Do you believe the average black IQ is significantly lower, is just a random outcome, or am I just racist? Thanks, TJ. You're just racist. The deal is, there's a guy by the name of Jared Diamond who wrote a book by the name of Guns, Germs, and Steel that I think pretty comfortably explains how exactly white Europeans came to be the dominant race on the planet. And I find it pretty incredible that racists like yourself seem to always forget that up until about 10,000 years ago, all human beings were hunter-gatherers. All of them. Every single one of them. Regardless of their race, regardless of what their continent was like, regardless of the geography, they were all hunter-gatherers. We all lived exactly the same way. We all had roughly equivalent technology. We didn't have permanent residences. We traveled in small groups, and that was the human experience. Only very recently has that changed, and Jared Diamond explains why, and he explains why without resorting to this idiotic idea that white people are somehow inherently smarter or better. An idea which is patently absurd, if for no other reason than for the reason of, then why didn't we come up with this stuff sooner? Why didn't any of this come about until the agricultural revolutions of 10 to 13,000 years ago? Do you think there will ever be a society? I'm assuming that's supposed to be ever. There will ever be a society in which merit is the only thing that determines how successful or unsuccessful a person will become in their lifetime? No. There's an inherent problem with the idea of fairness, and I was actually just talking to Federalist Films about this on Skype. There's this idea that human beings have constructed, and it's called fairness, and it's really a good thing to aspire to. It's good that we human beings are equipped with a sense of fairness, a sense of striving towards equality. That's a positive thing, but it's impossible to actually achieve because not all people have the same philosophies on life. We don't all value the same things. We don't all work for the same goals. We're not all as socially adept as others are. Human beings are radically different. To try to force some of a sort of equality, or to use your word, merit, into that, it just is. How do you determine merit? I mean, it seems like it's going to have a different definition for different people. Like for me, I think of merit as pertaining to intelligence and the ability to come up with new ideas. But for someone else, merit might have a lot more to do with tenacity and dedication, or loyalty, or honor, things that concepts that don't have the same value to me that they do to them. And maybe they don't value intelligence and cunning and resourcefulness as much as I do. So it's very difficult to even know what merit is in terms of your question, and that's the big problem. There's not even an agreement on the criteria. What invention are you most looking forward to in the future? Well, of course, in the future. I mean, if I'm looking forward to it, it has to be in the future, right? I don't know. How could I know what invention I'm looking forward to if it hasn't been invented? I think replicators. That seems like it'd be pretty cool to have a replicator. It kind of pertains to the same thing as what sci-fi technology would make real, and my answer was the holodeck. And a lot of people actually criticized me for saying the holodeck. They said, "Oh, you should have said the replicator because that would have solved world hunger and all this other stuff." And I'm like, so I want the holodeck. I want the fucking world hunger. I'm me. I want something for me. I'm greedy. I'm just a greedy monkey. That's all I amount to. That's all. Well, no, I'm not going to say that's all any of us amount to. Some people do transcend it nicely. I'm not among them. Describe your perfect apocalypse extra gory, please. Well, you didn't give me much time. It seems to me that a good apocalypse, you have to be original about it. I mean, Hollywood has delivered us so many big disaster scenarios of buildings collapsing and everything falling apart. I think a more interesting apocalypse would be more subtle. What if the apocalypse were that gradually people just stopped having the will to live? Like our survival instincts just began to decay generation after generation, and more people just started committing suicide en masse, and humanity entered this great existential crisis where we started really asking ourselves, like, what is the value of our lives? And more we came up with the answer that there was none. And, the people who commit suicide are kind of envied by the living. Like, old Mike finally took the plunge, finally realized the futility. It'd be cool if humanity just sort of died out with a whimper and we just gave in to some profound sense of ennui. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I think it's ennui. It is. But it sounds weird in my mouth. It sounds like it should be a word for penis. Like a small penis. Look at his little ennui. But it's spelled with an E, so it's kind of confusing in that regard, too. But yeah, it looks pretty on the page, though. Yeah. So that'd be a cool. You said extra gory, though. So you can imagine the suicides as gory as you want. Maybe people throwing themselves into like wood chippers. Maybe they stand their children in front of the wood chipper, and then they jump in the wood chipper, and their kids are sprayed with blood and guts and like bone fragments and stuff. And then that you can get a pretty visual, and then Junior's traumatized, and then he fucking takes the plunge into the wood chipper as well, following in Daddy's footsteps. So there's your gory, and it kind of has a psychological twist too. What is your opinion of guaranteed minimum income? Is that another word for minimum wage, or is that a different concept? I don't know. Like I said, I have not read any of these questions beforehand. I get on here, I found the question where I left off, and I did not read any of these, so I didn't have time to research what guaranteed minimum income is, but I'm just going to assume you're talking about minimum wage. I think that it's good. If you don't have minimum wage, then the workforce is a little bit too easy to exploit, and it's already a little bit too easy to exploit. I don't think you should make it easier. Hard determinism, dumb or fucking retarded. I don't know what the difference is between hard determinism or soft determinism. I don't know. I don't really care too much about determinism. The debate is not really very interesting to me. Simply because it doesn't really matter, does it? If we live in a deterministic universe, then there's nothing we can do about it. If we don't, then cool. But either way, it feels like we have control, or at least some measure of control. What does it matter beyond that? What does it matter beyond what we feel? If we seem to be making choices, then I say, let's leave it at that. We're making choices. Of course, if we live in a deterministic universe, then we're either gonna then us exploring the possibility of living in a deterministic universe or not is inevitable, and so it's just it's just such a self-defeating way of looking at the world, because it doesn't really matter. It has no impact on the way things are going to turn out, especially if you actually believe in determinism. So I don't know. It's a confusing and dumb topic. I don't even want to talk about it. It just you end up in a logical loop where it's like, okay, and then this. But this, but this, but that, but this. If X, then Y. If Y, then X, etc. And it just keeps going around and around. What do you think of the Archfiend? I've never heard of him, so I can't fucking say. TJ, do you have any interest in gaming? No. Have you ever tried to blow yourself? Yeah, I tried. I didn't succeed. TJ, what can I do to cure my explosive diarrhea? Well, it's been 4 days, so if you're still having explosive diarrhea, you should probably go to the hospital. Does writing helps you... My God. Does writing helps you to gather your thoughts, express yourself, and or a way to share your ideas to the public? When did you start writing, and what brought you to write? Writing's good. I like language. I've always liked words and the way they look, and the way they can sound together. I like writing because it's fun. It's good. It's a way you can make. If you want to tell a story, you can either, just speak it out loud, which I'm not too great at. I'm good at bitching and complaining, but I'm not too good at storytelling aloud. I just I go off in too many places, and I just can't figure out where where the story really is. I don't have time to intellectualize it enough. If you want to make a movie, you gotta have a lot of money. If you want to just write it down, then I have plenty of time to think about it, and I can, I don't have to worry about a budget. The budget is my imagination. That's my budget. That's why I like writing. Fiction, anyway. Non-fiction, I don't really enjoy writing, but I do it sometimes because it's a necessity, to me, to get it off my chest, maybe. What is your favorite of your own videos? I'm not a big fan. Do you think in a few decades... I'm just fucking with you. I am. I'm a lying sack of shit. I just thought it'd be a funny little quip of an answer. But I really don't have a favorite. I kind of look to the future. I'll watch my old videos on occasion, but I don't really pick and choose favorites. Sometimes I'll see them and I'll realize I don't like a particular video anymore and I'll take it down, but I don't really have any that I'm like, ooh, that was my masterpiece. I want to always feel like my masterpiece is yet to come, I guess. Do you think in a few decades with deep military cuts China will have superior force projection power? Do you think they will have the same world influence we have now? Thanks. China still spends vastly less than we do on a military, and we have a huge head start. We already have a vastly superior air force, a vastly superior naval force. They have a greater number of troops, but that's increasingly kind of not much of an advantage in modern warfare. They don't have any real way to get those troops here. Not that they'd want to, because we are their consumer base. They don't really have much of an interest in destroying America. They need us to keep buying their cheap shit and propping up their economy. at least until they find some other economic model, which I don't see happening anytime soon. The thing is that we shouldn't really fear, in my opinion, the emergence of China as a military power, simply because I don't think China has much of an interest in imperialism. They have a large enough empire as it is. They want military might in order to have the ability to bully smaller countries, which is the same thing we do now. Chances are pretty good that the U.S. is always going to spend a lot of money on its military. Maybe we should even make sure that we always spend more than everyone else. But we don't need to spend more than the fucking more than second place by 9 or 10 times. That's just silly. We don't need that sort of military strength, especially when we already have technology that and infrastructure in our military that no one is going to be able to beat, no matter how much they fund their armies for at least 20 or 30 years. And that's assuming we make no progress. And I think a lot of the military money we spend on military now is pretty much just wasted money. It's not really going to making our military stronger. It's going to making our military a social welfare program. If we're going to pay people money to be in the army, I'd much rather pay those people money to work on social projects. I'd rather have them over here building high-speed railroads or something. Fixing America's fucking failing infrastructure. Give these guys a fucking crash course in engineering and construction and shit, and get them over here fixing our problems. They want a paycheck. That's how you fucking earn a paycheck. I don't want them to earn their paycheck fucking sitting over in fucking Japan, just fucking kind of chilling at a fucking military base. That's pointless. That doesn't serve our interests, at least not as well as what I propose. I've been wanting to make. I wanted to start making YouTube videos for some time now. Do you have any advice to give at all to a person starting on the site? I would say find some big YouTuber, or at least some like moderately sized YouTuber, someone who's getting at least 5,000 views a video, and start sucking up to them. Just start sucking up to them and then fucking talking to them and parroting their views back to them, and just fucking ingratiate yourself in any way you can. And then when you start making videos, try to get them to send people your way. And you can be, you can kind of springboard off that, off of their existing audience. I think that's a good way to go about it. As for your actual video making process, it just depends on what you want to do. Like, obviously, I would never do an Amazing Atheist video the way I'm doing this. I wouldn't just sit down and just talk, in like my normal tone of voice. Because a lot of people would find it boring. Now, there's certain people, like obviously the people who are watching this right now, who are in the market for that. Some people like this sort of chill, relaxed discussion of thoughts and ideas, and well, it's not really discussion because I'm not talking to anyone else, but they like this conversational tone. They like a video that where someone's just talking, and the flaws and the foibles are all there, and it's not slick, and it's not about production value. It's just about someone sitting down and speaking their mind. Some people like that, but if you want the big numbers, then you're probably better off emulating My Amazing Atheist videos, or SXE Phil, or Ray William Johnson, or Niga Higa, or someone like that. It depends on what you want, though. Where was I? Do you like Reese's Pieces? Not that much, honestly. I do like Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, but I'm not a big fan of Reese's Pieces. Those got really popular after E.T. M&M's, the Mars Candy, I think it's Mars Candy Corporation that owns M&M's. They actually told I don't forget, I remember the studio, the fucking the studio that fucking produced E.T. I think it was maybe Fox or something. Who gives a shit? Anyway, they approached the Mars Corporation about using M&Ms and ET, and they didn't want their candy being eaten by some fucking weird alien, so they passed on it, and the studio brought the offer to Reese's Pieces, and they said yes, and their sales spiked like 400% after that. I pulled 400% on my ass, but it was a big sales spike. I don't know why I felt the compulsion to tell that story, but hey, if you were interested, hey, I don't know why, but good for you. Do you ever play video games? No. Blah blah blah. Okay, fuck, goddamn. You ever watch the film Zeitgeist? Oh my fucking god! Just stop with the Zeitgeist shit already. Do you have any advice to get rid of moobs? Are you what? If I did, do you not think that, okay, whatever. If the Tea Party candidates would end the ongoing U.S. wars, but the Democrats would have them extended, would it be more morally just to vote for the Tea Party candidates then, even though they will slaughter all forms of Social Security, health care, and everything else progressive in the U.S.? No. I think we have to put our social agenda first. Our wars are unjustified and, for the most part, horrible. I'm not opposed to any and all military action, but I think the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, they've been tremendously costly. I kept wanting to say costful. I'm like, costful? That's not right. They've been tremendously costly to us. And they haven't been terribly... We haven't seen a terrible amount of benefit from them. Now, some people, like my friend Rith, that's Federalist Films, has said, we have to have this philosophy, if you break it, you buy it. No. We're not when you risk breaking yourself in the process. We gotta go. Let them figure it out. We should feel bad that we went to those countries and fucked everything up, but at this point we really just have to say, okay, we're really sorry, but it's your fucking problem. We gotta go. We can't afford to spend that money. But that being said, we have to put ourselves first. That's just rational. That's rational self-interest. We can't put another country's benefit before our own. Now that doesn't mean we should be these callous fucks who go around the world just like, well, it benefits America to destroy you, so we're going to do it. I mean, you have to have some consideration for other countries, because you don't want to just be, some asshole country. But at the same time, we can't prop up other nations. Even ones that it might be our fault. Well, it's definitely our fault that they're fucked up. We still can't prop them up at the price of our own fucking cohesion as a nation. We have to remain a solvent fucking democracy, or bad shit will happen. I don't even remember what the question was. I got lost in kind of a little wormhole of my own meanderings there. But the point is that you can't. You have to put the domestic agenda first. You have to. Who would be your sidekick in a zombie apocalypse? I'd be a zombie, so I don't need a sidekick. TJ, do you feel that video games are an art form? No. Have you ever... Have you ever done any writing work? you seem like a good and intelligent writer, something I hope to do. I've written a couple of books. They're compiled into one book. I don't know if they're still on sale anywhere. I haven't really checked on that. But, they're out there, I guess. You could probably find like a fucking PDF online or something. I'm also working on a novel right now. I'll read an excerpt from my novel, just for the fuck of it. I'm just going to select a paragraph at random, so if it's horrible, please keep in mind that it's not like a best of that I selected. It's just some random shit that I just landed on. Let me just get in here. Oops. I don't know what the fuck they're arguing about out there. Okay, so let's just figure this out. Alright. So selecting a paragraph at absolute random. Let's do this. Bam! Okay. That one. I opened the front door and nearly closed it again on impulse. Standing there was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. I don't mean the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in person, or one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. I mean the most gorgeous human being to ever draw a breath. And I looked like a retarded giant who had escaped from his playpen. "Hi," she said, obviously concealing discomfort. I didn't say anything to her. I just looked at her. More exactly, I just stared at her. Even more exactly, I just stared at her breasts. The girls on the internet never seemed to mind this sort of behavior, but it did appear to perturb the girl at my doorstep. So, that was an excerpt. So I think that was pretty good. The breast line. That was the best. The breast line was the best line. So yeah, that's my novel. I'm working on that. Hopefully be out this fall. Do you listen to Pink Floyd? And if so, what is your favorite song? If you're like me, you have too many favorites. Just list your favorite album. I like Pink Floyd. I don't really know their work by album because I kind of listen to it piecemeal on the internet. So I don't really know what songs are from what. But my favorite song is probably "Comfortably Numb." I've always been fond of that. There's this other song I've only heard it a couple times. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's like there's like a trial going on or something, and I don't know. I shouldn't even have mentioned it because I know very little about what the fuck I'm saying. What books are you reading right now? I've read The Genius of the Beast, very interesting and mind-changing book. I'm glad you're reading Howard. I hoped when I started interviewing him that it would get people interested in reading his work. I feel like he's written some really interesting and compelling books that make some interesting and out there arguments. He was a major influence in my life. I hope that he can be a major influence in other people's. Books I'm reading right now. I just got done reading the most recent book in the Dresden Files series, which I guess is really popular now. It wasn't very popular when I started reading it. I feel the need to convey that. I didn't jump on the bandwagon once it was like all over the charts. I read the first book when it first came out, and I've been reading it ever since, and I've seen it grow in popularity. And it hasn't really. It stayed pretty fresh. It hasn't become dull. I think that it's because Jim Butcher has a lot of fun writing the books, and they're really fun to read. They're not particularly challenging. You're probably not going to walk away with your life changed, but they're good, entertaining novels. And they're not great examples of storytelling structure or anything, but they're very entertainingly written, and they're funny, and I enjoy them. The name of the book was Ghost Story. What do you think of the Westboro Baptist Church going to protest the funerals of the people killed in the Norway shooting? I know the Westboro Baptist Church, and they're very much driven by their need for publicity. They like making news. When you guys hear stuff like this, I'm going to change my position so I can drink this Coke more easily. When you guys act like everything they're doing is like the worst thing you've ever seen, you're helping them out. They want you to do that. That's exactly the reaction they're looking for. So, I think the best thing you could do if you really hate the Westboro Baptist Church is just ignore them and just act like they don't exist. Because that's what really would bother them more than anything, honestly. They want your attention. They're a bunch of trolls. They're real life trolls. They're IRL trolls. That's all the fuck they are. I don't think you need to pay them any mind, honestly. A serious question, what's your viewpoint on creationism? Personally, I think it's the best religious belief that currently exists on the planet, so I wonder, what's your take on this? I don't know what you're talking about. Creationism is, it's not really a religious belief, it's an alternative to the theory of evolution, and it's not much of an alternative at that. It's just the Christian opposition to science, basically. There's nothing about it that's admirable. I don't really. You'd have to explain your position a little better, because I really don't know what the fuck you're talking about at this point. TJ, what is your favorite superhero, Marvel or DC? My favorite superhero is probably Batman. My favorite comic book company, I don't know. DC does seem to have a richer they seem to have a more abundant amount of compelling characters that people can get interested in. It seems like DC, it's kind of like, okay, we got Batman, we got Superman, and then we got all these other guys. Okay, well, there's Green Lantern, and there's Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter, I guess, and Flash. There you go. These characters are not quite as dynamic and interesting as some of the stuff that Marvel has. I mean, they got fucking the X-Men, they've got Spider-Man, they've got Captain America, and they've got Thor and Iron Man, and just so on and so forth. And it's pretty difficult to top all that. They just seem to have a richer mythology. So even though Batman is my favorite hero, I'd say that Marvel is probably the slightly better company. I don't think they're tremendously better, but just a little. Do you have any larger goals you look forward to accomplish in the future? Sure. Everyone does, I think. Do you believe in luck, karma, or jinx? No. Would you save a suicidal that is a close friend to you? I don't think you refer to someone who is suicidal as a suicidal. I don't think suicidal is ever a noun. So please don't do that in the future. If yes, what would you say to him? If someone I knew was trying to kill themselves, I guess I'd ask them why, and if they had a compelling reason, then I'd probably support them. If they didn't, then I'd probably try to talk them out of it. I'd at least try to make sure they were making an informed decision, that's for sure. I say too much. What are you expecting from the new Manson record? Thank you for taking my question. I don't have much of an expectation at this point. I'm eager to see, but I'm not trying to prejudge. I'm not trying to. There's really not much to go on at this point, honestly. I mean, it's actually a little bit frustrating because Manson claimed back in January that the record was finished for all intents and purposes. And we know nothing about it. We've heard a small snippet of one song. We haven't heard any of the music. We don't know any of the track titles. We don't know the title of the album. We haven't seen any artwork pertaining to the album. It's been kind of ridiculous, honestly. I'm a little bit distraught by the lack of information to come out about the album, but I'm still anticipating it. Do you think there tends to be a significant psychological difference between atheists who were once theists and lifelong atheists? Are the former damaged? Well, I think we're all damaged at some point. I mean, it's pretty difficult to reach adulthood and not have some sort of psychological scarring. I mean, whether it's the loss of a parent or the loss of a pet or the loss of innocence or naivete or whatever. Is there a significant psychological difference, though, between atheists who were once theists and lifelong atheists? Well, I'm a lifelong atheist. I never, except for when I was a very, very, very young child, I didn't really warm to the idea of God. I don't really know. I know I've known people who were once theists, and I've spoken to them, and I don't see any tremendous difference between them and myself. I don't look down my nose at them like, aha, I saw through it at a young age, whereas it took you until you were 20-something, or, I don't that seems rather petty. I mean, yeah. I don't begrudge people. Have you ever converted anybody? By converted, I mean, have you ever convinced someone through superior logic, no doubt, that God, religion is a bunch of shit, and they went, hey, that makes a lot of sense, and become an atheist non-believer because of your argument? I have not in a one-on-one level, though. I've never sat down with someone who was a Christian and argued with them, and then they said, oh, you're right, I'm an atheist. I have never had that happen. I have had people write me on YouTube and tell me that they started watching my videos as a Christian, and then they heard some stuff I said and they considered it, and then they changed their minds down the line, in part because of what I said. I think if you're in a debate situation where it's one-on-one, both sides are a little bit reluctant to yield. I know I've been in arguments where someone basically shredded my argument, and I was just still, very stubborn. I'm like, yeah, well, and then later on, in private, you amend your beliefs, and you no longer espouse the position that person destroyed, because you don't want you change your mind, away from them as if they had nothing to do with it, because it's too embarrassing to admit to them that they out-argued you. And I think that happens a lot. I think maybe there have been times where I've argued with Christians, and then maybe they've gone home and thought about what I said and come around to a different way of thinking. But I don't think I've definitely never had it happen on the spot, though. I have to say between every question. It's like my recharge. Okay. TJ, if you were ever in Tokyo for whatever reason and happened to wander into the red light district, would you go to a pink salon? I'm not exactly sure what a pink salon is, but I think I can figure it out. Although maybe I can't. I don't know. I shouldn't say yes to this without knowing what exactly a pink salon is, but I don't want to take time out to look, so I don't know. I guess you'll have to figure it out on your own. Have you ever seen My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic? If yes, what did you think? I watched it on a blog TV because people kept asking me to, and I watched it, and it made me want to kill myself. Sex. Hopefully that got your attention. I'm reading all the questions anyway, so you didn't need to do that. I've seen your rant about popular culture. Is there anything in pop culture you enjoy? Sure. I mean, I love Chris Nolan. I love his vision of the Batman movies. I love Inception. I'm very fond of the music of Marilyn Manson. I don't know if he's really much of a pop culture thing at this point, but I mean, he was at some point, so I was into that at the time, and I'm still into it now, even if it's not necessarily mainstream anymore. I mean, I don't reject pop culture. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I like. I mean, I'll see popular movies. I mean, my favorite movie of fucking, don't know, was it 2010? Maybe it was 2009. Zombieland is the point. I mean, I like movies that and music that's mainstream. I don't judge things by whether or not they're embraced by the masses. I judge them for what they are. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stuff in pop culture I like. Why can't I not do that? Hey TJ, I have a serious question. What is the thing on the wall behind you? It is a sun/moon. I don't know what exactly it symbolizes, but that's what it is. Fuck! I gotta stop that. I'm gonna make a conscious effort, next question, not to say after the question, between the two questions. Do you think you will ever have a political career when you are older? No. I actually live in Macomb, Illinois. How did you like living here? I did not. Hence, I'm not there anymore. Well, I made it one question without doing it. Do you plan on seeing The Dark Knight Rises? Fucking obviously. What YouTubers do you watch? We already did this. In the last video, Zeitgeist Movement, fucking terrible. What's your favorite movie, book, TV show? My favorite movie is Unforgiven or Seven Samurai. Probably Unforgiven by a slight margin. My favorite book is Catcher in the Rye. My favorite TV show is Dexter. What is your opinion on the Keirsey Temperament Sorter Personality Quiz? I've never taken it, never heard of it. Don't care. So I'm going to answer questions until I get to a good one, because those were a bunch of shit. TJ, how's your book coming along? Not every question I answered was a piece of shit, just those last few. I'm not saying everyone whose question I answered was bad. TJ, how's your book coming along? I already kind of handled that one. TJ, I was wondering what's your opinion on anime. I absolutely love anime, and I wonder what your take on it was. Be as brutal as possible, I can take it. I love anime. I'm a big fan. I just got through watching a show called Baccano, which was about Prohibition-era gangsters who sort of stumble into becoming immortal. And it was really well. It's really well written and well done, and the characters are interesting, and there's all these strange, idiosyncratic worldviews that you're presented with, and I thought that was really cool. Also, what is your opinion on eating disorders? I don't know. They're fine, I guess. If you want to eat disorder, then who am I to stop you? Why haven't you done a video about the cops in the LA that beat the homeless man to death? If I covered everything the cops do, then that's all I'd ever talk about, man. They're always beating somebody up or shooting someone unjustly or breaking into someone's house without a warrant or, I don't know, man. The fucking cops in this country are out of fucking control. If I covered everything they did, it'd just be my channel. I'd just be the amazing cop hater. I guess we could stop there. Thanks for watching. I'll continue this, probably in a couple days, I guess.